A B-17 flying fortress with the tail number 41-2666 was lying in a boneyard ready to be scrapped. Nobody wanted this plane because of its ominous past and its tail number of 666. However, pilot J. Zimmer and his crew of 9 saved it and converted it into the most heavily armed B-17 of World War II, and they nicknamed it as Old 666. The Old 666 would go on to the most dangerous and unknown mission during the World War II, earning its crew Medal of Honor, the highest medal in American military. An extraordinary crew. J. Zimmer Jr., a 23-year-old reckless and daredevil co-pilot and an inspiring pilot, in August of 1943 was transferred to the 43rd Bomb Squadron. In here, he met with his old friend Sergeant Joe Sinofsky. In November 1942, Zimmer piloted a mission which took heavy damage and injuries, but the mission was successful. He earned a Silver Star for this and was promoted to the pilot in command. But still, Zimmer did not have a crew of his own, so he asked his friend Sergeant Sinofsky to be his Bombardier and Navigator. They then started looking for their own crew. After just one mission, a considerable number of the crew declined to fly with Zimmer and Sinofsky again. However, some other rebels stood up to the man's action and eventually gathered the squad. Because they constantly offered to volunteer for missions as they became available, the crew earned the nickname the Eager Beavers. The Beaver still lacked its own aircraft as a result of their disruptive attitude and distaste for military order. When it was time to assign new aircraft, the group was at the bottom of the list. They could do nothing except make do with what they could find. Hard luck, Haiti. The 43rd Bomb Group relocated to New Guinea in 1943 as a part of the 65th Squadron. Here, Zimmer found an abandoned plane in a boneyard ready to be scrapped. Nicknamed Hard Luck Haiti, this B-17 had a wild reputation as it had suffered heavy damage during its last missions. Its last crew believed that it was cursed mainly due to its tail number of 41-2666. All this still couldn't stop Zimmer from salvaging it. He shipped it to Port Moresby and asked for many modifications. He increased the guns from 10 to 19, changed single guns with double guns, and caliber from 30 to 50. After all the modification, it became the most heavily armed B-17 on the Pacific front. The plane was not given any nickname or nose art as it spent a lot of time during these modifications. Zimmer and the crew embraced the plane as their own and flew many dangerous missions. They nicknamed it from Hard Luck Haiti to Old 666. The Old 666, on a mission over Papua New Guinea, sustained over 60 hits from the enemy flag, but still managed to return to base. The crew was awarded Silver Star. Zimmer earned his second Silver Star, and 2 crew members earned Flying Crosses, while Sinofsky was promoted to the second lieutenant. A suicide mission. In June 1943, the crew was assigned a photo mapping mission. It was a solo mission and required a 22-minute low-level flight over enemy territory. Just before the flight, Zimmer received a call from the 5th Bomber Command, and it was stated that they had seen increased hostile activity near Buka Islands over Japanese airbase, and they were requested to do a recon mission over there. Zimmer refused by saying it would be a suicide mission for a single B-17 versus many Japanese fighters. They went for the photo mapping mission, but due to the low light, they couldn't perform their mission. Now, Zimmer reached to his crew and laid out his daredevil plan of going to the Buka Islands for the recon mission. His crew had the utmost loyalty and respect for him, and they supported his decisions. And so they went for one of the most daring missions in World War II aviation history. Old 666 versus 17 Zeros. The Eager Beavers flew across Buka Islands on their quick mapping mission, traveling 600 miles of territory under Japanese control. In preparation for the imminent invasion by the Allies, the crew gathered images to determine the size of the Japanese army and potential attack sites. There are only 20 minutes left to complete. Japanese Mitsubishi A6M0 aircrafts intercepted the crew. 5 of them attacked in sequence, surrounding the old 666 from underneath. 3 Zeros were sprawled over the front, and 2 more were coming from the behind. The attack's precision prevented Zimmer from using his preferred defense strategy, where he would place the B17 in the path of the enemy's fire attacking from the front. Due to the motion, the other Japanese aircraft would be able to see the aircraft's belly. After hitting the tail, they went for the B-17's nose. It was well known that the B-17s were not equipped with many weapons. However, the aircraft's high-caliber dual machine guns turret sticking out of the airframe caught the Japanese pilots off guard. The old 666 was not one to give up easily. The lead aircraft was severely wounded when the eager beavers counterattacked, and it went back to base. Sinofsky took down another enemy with one of the 19 sets of the cannons after Captain Zimmer took out a Zero with a nose-mounted gun on the B-17. The old 666 cockpit was destroyed by 20mm gun shells fired from the Zero in retaliation. Sinofsky was knocked off, and Zimmer was struck by an exploding gun in the forward compartment. A crew member nicknamed Bumblebee was severely hurt, but he managed to drag himself back to the station and down another Japanese Zero before he passed away from his injuries. The old 666 cockpit was struck once more by an aircraft from a second Japanese wave, which destroyed their oxygen tanks. In order for his crew to breathe, Zimmer forced the aircraft into a sharp descent to 6,000 feet. Despite having severely damaged instrument panels and no oxygen supply, the eager beavers continued to engage the Japanese Zeros, determined to bring the priceless images back. Despite being in severe pain, a wounded Zimmer refused to give up control of his beloved old 666 and kept flying. The Japanese Zeros lined up on either side of the plane and launched a frontal attack, presuming that the old 666 forward cannons were no longer functional. Zimmer made the decision to attempt the technique that he was unable to execute during the initial attack. In order to escape enemy fire and give his rear gunners unhindered access to the oncoming Zeros, the pilot turned sharply inside each of the approaching aircraft firing angles. This strategy was successful because after 40 minutes, the Americans outran the Japanese planes and flew directly to their base. Captain Zimmer succumbed to his injuries on the way back. 6 of the 9 eager beavers were injured or killed during the operation, and the remaining 3 did their best to maintain the old 666 in the air. Most hardcore and brave crew. 8 hours after taking off, the old 666 returned to land in New Guinea base with holes all over its fuselage and Zimmer barely alive. Doctors at the hospital discovered that he had lost over half of his blood. He would spend next several months in the hospital, but he eventually recovered from his wounds. The Allied forces started Operations Cartwheel and Offensive in Papua New Guinea 2 weeks after the old 666 fatal admission. Top military strategists gave the maps and charts created from the photos the eager beavers took great praise for the operation's success. Pilot J. Zimmer and Sinofsky received the Medal of Honor for their bravery during one of the longest sustained enemy fighter strikes in World War II history. The Distinguished Service Cross was given to the remaining 7 crew members. Major Zimmer and crew observed about 20 enemy fighters on the field, many of them sustaining many injuries and losing their lives during this mission. The eager beavers still remain the most highly decorated combat crew in American military service. Thanks for watching. To watch more videos like this, do subscribe to this channel. It will help me a lot. Cheers.